Hello everyone, it's Jen from Old Tinkerer Studio. Welcome to the third tutorial of the Low Poly Modeling for Beginners series. In this tutorial, we will be modeling a low poly box truck. Let's change to Cycles Render and go into Orthographic View, which is 5 on the numpad, and Front View, which is 1 on the numpad. Scale the cube, S, 2, enter, and then tab into edit mode. Go into face mode, control tab, and select the right side face. Extrude the face along the x-axis, EX5. Then select the top face of this extrusion and extrude it along the z-axis, E3. Now select the two right side faces and extrude the faces along the x-axis, EX20. Then select the top face and extrude this face along the z-axis, E4. Now go into edge mode, control tab, and select the left top loop of the original cube. Then use the manipulator and move this edge down along the z-axis 1 blender unit. Go into top view, which is 7 on the numpad. Make sure you have the loop still selected, and then you want to also select the front loop of the center section and the front loop of the rear section. Add a bevel using Control B, and then drag the edge out so it's about 3/10 of a blender unit wide. And then add 5 loop cuts with your middle mouse button. Then left click, and then select the edge along the very back of the truck. Add a bevel, Control B, and make this also 3/10 of a blender unit wide, and add 5 loop cuts. Select the entire mesh by hitting your L key. Then scale the mesh along the y-axis, SY2. Deselect everything with your A key and go into the left side view, which is Control and 3 on the numpad. Then we want to make a horizontal loop cut, Control R, left click once, and move it so it's about 3/10 of a blender unit from the bottom of the cab. Go into face mode, Control Tab, and select the front face of the bumper. Go into front view, which is 1 on the numpad. And we want to extrude this along the x-axis, EX -0.3. Then select the face of the bumper that's facing you, and go into the left side view, Control 3 on the numpad, and extrude the face along the y-axis, EY -0.3. Then select the other face of the bumper and extrude it along the y-axis, EY.3. Then select both back faces of the bumper go into front view, which is 1 on the numpad, and extrude the faces along the x-axis, EX.5. Then go into edge mode, Control Tab, then select the front corners of the bumper, then go into top view, which is 7 on the numpad, and add a bevel, Control B, and drag the edge until it's about 1/10 of a blender unit smaller, and add 3 loop cuts with your middle mouse button. Now go into front view, which is 1 on the numpad, and add a cube with Shift A, and use the manipulator and move the cube out into the front of the truck. Scale the cube along the x-axis, SX.1, then go into the left side view, Control 3 on the numpad, scale the cube along the y-axis, SY.3, and then scale the cube along the z-axis, SZ.7. Add 2 horizontal loop cuts in the center, Control R, left click only once, then scale the loops along the z-axis until they're about 1/10 of a blender unit apart, SZ. Then go into face mode, Control Tab, select the top and bottom faces and inset them, I.05. Then go into front view, which is 1 on the numpad, and wireframe, which is Z, and extrude the faces along the x-axis, EX.1. Then select the entire light by hitting the L key, and move the light along the x-axis. Make sure the back of the inset faces are slightly in front of the body of the truck. Go back into solid mode, which is Z, and the left side view, which is Control 3 on the numpad, and place the light in position. Then duplicate the light using Shift D and move it to the other side. Add a cube with Shift A. Go into front view, which is 1 on the numpad, and move the cube to the front of the truck. Scale the cube along the x-axis, SX.1. Go into the left side view, Control 3. Scale it along the y-axis, SY.05. And scale it along the z-axis, SZ.7. Then position the cube so it vertically lines up with the 2 lights. Then duplicate the cube with Shift D and move the duplicate to the right. Now repeat this step until you have 5 duplicated cubes evenly spaced between the center cube and the light. Then select all 5 of these cubes and duplicate them. Just hit L and to select all of them, Shift D to duplicate, and then move these to the other side of the truck. Then deselect everything with your A key. Select the center cube by hitting L. Duplicate it, Shift D. Then rotate the duplicated cube around the x-axis 90 degrees. RX 90. Then scale the cube along the y-axis SY 4.05. And this number will depend on how you have your vertical cubes across the front of the truck, so you may need to change this number, and you may need to center this a little bit. Then duplicate the horizontal cube with Shift D and move it to the top of the vertical cubes, and Shift D again to duplicate this and move it to the bottom of the vertical cubes. Then go ahead and select the entire grill by hitting your L key. Go into the front view, which is 1 on the numpad, and move the grill along the x-axis until it lines up with the lights. Go into the left side view, just Control 3, and select the hood, including the beveled edges. And inset the faces, I.03. Now select the front face of the cab, which will be our windshield, and inset the face, I.08. Then select the beveled faces and the face right above the windshield. Go into front view, which is 1 on the numpad. And use the manipulator and move the selected faces along the x-axis about 1/2 of a blender unit. Then select all 4 faces but on both sides of the cab, and this will be our door and window. Then inset the faces, I.1, and add a cube with Shift A, and use the manipulator and move the cube to the front of the truck. Scale the cube along the x-axis, SX.7, and scale it along the z-axis, SZ.3. Then go into the left side view, Control 3, and scale the cube along the y-axis, SY.1. Go into Edge Mode, Control Tab, and select the right bottom edge. Then use the manipulator and move the edge along the y-axis about 1/10 of a blender unit. Select the entire door handle using your L key and resize the door handle, S.5. Then use the manipulator and move the door handle into place. Duplicate the door handle using Shift D. Go into the left side view, which is Control 3, and rotate the door handle 180 degrees around the z-axis, RZ180, and then move the door handle to the other door. Go into Face Mode, Control Tab, and select the 4 door panels. Then inset the selected faces, I.03. Then select the faces on the right and left side of the actual trailer part. And inset the faces, I.1. Then go into top view, which is 7 on the numpad, and select the top face of the trailer, and inset the face, I.1. Then go to the right side view, which is 3 on the numpad. Go into Edge Mode, Control Tab, and make a horizontal loop cut and move it to about 3/10 of a blender unit from the bottom of the cab to match the front bumper height. Hit Control R, left click once, and slide it down. Then go into Face Mode, Control Tab, select the front of the bumper, and go into Front View, which is 1 on the numpad. And extrude the face along the x-axis, EX.3. Then select the face of the bumper that's facing you. Go into right side view, which is 3 on the numpad, and extrude this along the y-axis, EY-0.3. Then select the right side of the bumper and extrude this along the y-axis, EY.3. Then select both of the front faces of the bumper. Go into Front View, which is 1 on the numpad, and extrude the faces along the x-axis, EX-2. Go into Edge Mode, Control Tab, and select the front corners of the bumpers. And go into Top View. Then add a bevel, Control B, and drag the edge to about 1/10 of a blender unit. And using your scroll wheel, add 3 loop cuts. Go into the right side view, which is 3 on the numpad, and then go into face mode using Control Tab. Then select the 3 faces on the back of the truck. Inset the faces, I.08, and then inset the faces again, I.1. Then go to the front view, which is a 1 on the numpad, and add a cube with Shift A. Then use the manipulator and move the cube to the back of the truck. Scale the cube along the x-axis, SX.2. Go to the right side view, just 3 on the numpad. Scale the cube along the y-axis, SY.7. Then scale the cube along the z-axis, SZ.2. Then select the right face and extrude along the y-axis, EY.2. Select the left face and extrude along the y-axis, EY-0.2. Then select the back faces of the extruded sections. Go into front view, which is 1 on the numpad, and extrude these faces along the x-axis, EX-0.4. Select the entire handle with your L key and use the manipulator to put it in place. Go into the left side view, which is Control 3. Deselect everything with your A key. Then select both lights using your L key. Duplicate them using Shift D. Then rotate the lights around the Z-axis 180 degrees. RZ 180. Go to the front view, which is a 1 on the numpad, and place the lights on the back of the truck. Go into the right side view, which is 3 on the numpad. Select the 3 center faces on the back of the truck and inset the faces, I.3. Deselect everything with your A key. Select one light with your L key and scale it along the y-axis, SY.6. Deselect everything, then select the other light with your L key and scale it along the y-axis, SY.6. Go into front view, which is a 1 on the numpad, and go in edge mode, Control Tab. And make 2 horizontal loop cuts to the section in front of the door window. Control R, mouse button, scroll up once, left click twice. And then make 2 additional loop cuts in between those loop cuts. Control R, scroll wheel, left click twice. Now go into face mode with Control Tab and select the top and bottom faces that were made by the loop cut. Go into your left side view, which is Control 3, and extrude the faces along the y-axis, E, Y, negative 0.5. Then go into the back view, which is Control 1, and select the top and bottom faces made by those loop cuts. Go back into the left side view, Control 3, and extrude the faces along the y-axis, EY 0.5. Go into the front view, which is 1 on the numpad, and add a cube with Shift A. And use the manipulator and move the cube in front of the door window. Scale the cube along the x-axis, SX.1. Go to the right side view, which is 3 on the numpad. Scale the cube along the y-axis, SY.3. And go into edge mode using Control Tab. And add a horizontal loop cut to the center of the mirror. Control R, left click only once. Then slide the loop cut down until it's about half of a blender unit from the bottom. Go into face mode using Control Tab. Select both faces of the mirror and inset them, I.05. Go into edge mode with Control Tab and add a vertical edge loop in the center of each of the extrusions from steps 173 and 177. Then go into face mode using Control Tab and select the entire mirror using the L key, and use the manipulator and move it into place. Select the faces of the extrusion that we made a couple steps ago and extrude them along the x-axis by using E and X until they meet the back of the mirror. Select the inset pieces of the mirror. Go into front view, which is 1 on the numpad, and wireframe, which is Z, and extrude the inset faces along the x-axis, E, X, negative 0.05. And go back into solid mode, which is Z, then select the entire mirror using your L key, and duplicate the mirror using Shift D. Go into the left side view, which is Control 3, and move the duplicated mirror to the other side of the truck. And then, like we did on the driver's side of the truck, we're going to select the faces of the extrusions and then extrude them along the x-axis until they meet the back of the mirror. Go into front view, which is 1 on the numpad, and add a cylinder with Shift A, and change the number of vertices to 16. Use the manipulator to move the cylinder in front of the engine compartment. And rotate the cylinder around the x-axis 90 degrees, RX90. Go into the left side view, which is Control 3, and scale the cylinder along the y-axis, SY.3. Go into front view, 1 on the numpad, and face mode, Control Tab. Select the front face of the cylinder and inset the face, I.3. Select the entire tire using your L key and use the manipulator to put it in place. Select the top half of the tire, the top faces only. Then duplicate these selected faces with Shift D and go into front view, 1 on the numpad. Scale the duplicated faces along the x-axis, SX 1.1. Then use the manipulator and move the duplicated faces up till they're about 1/10 of a blender unit above the tire. And extrude the faces along the z-axis, E.3. Now select the entire tire and fender using your L key and duplicate them using Shift D, and then move the duplicates to the rear of the truck. Then select both tires and both fenders using your L key and duplicate them using Shift D. Rotate the duplicates around the z-axis 180 degrees, RZ180. Go into the left side view, which is Control 3, and then use the manipulator and move the duplicates to the other side of the truck. Make sure you are in face mode by hitting Control Tab and open up your Materials tab. And go ahead and assign the default material to the entire truck. Click on the plus button and the new button and change your color to black, which is a hex code of all zeros. Then select the outer part of the tires . Select the entirety of the fenders. Select your door handles. And select the outer part of the mirrors. Choose your black material and hit assign. Click on the plus and new, and we need a light gray color. I'm going to use the hex code of B6, B6, B6. Select the hubcaps. Select your grill. Select the outer parts of your lights. And select the handle on the back of the truck. Then select your light gray material and click assign. Click your plus button and your new button, and we need to make a dark gray. I'm going to use the hex code of 424242. And we want to select the inset around the doors. We need to also select the portion of the inset that is around the trailer. And we need to choose the bumpers. Okay, then select your dark gray material and hit assign. Click on the plus button and the new button, and we are going to change the color to a light blue. Going to use the hex code 0879A3. And select your windows and your mirrors. Select the blue material and click assign. Now click on the plus button and new and change your color to pure white. And that hex code is all F's. And choose the top of the two headlights. Choose your white material and click assign. Click on the plus button, new, and we need to choose an orange color. I'm going to use the hex code BD8B09. Then select the two bottom portions of the headlights and the tail lights. Choose your orange color and hit assign. Hit the plus, new, and we need to make a red color. And I'm using the hex of E70F00. And select the two top parts of the tail lights. Choose your red material and hit assign. And there's your basic low poly box truck. I hope you found this useful. Have a good day.